Um, so in Third Nephi, I've just been going through each of the chapters, 11 through 18, and I'm just making little notes of what I see as good and solid, amazing leadership principles. And this morning I was just once again, just felt so full of my heart about you ladies. I love how the Savior is quick to thank Heavenly Father for sending him the disciples and then sending him the people and their receptivity when he's talking with them. Remember, he's like, I perceive that you're Max, your fire hose, go home and go and talk to your families and go and get grounded and get prepared for tomorrow. And then when he prays for the children and he thanks Heavenly Father for the people that are there that love him, love Heavenly Father, want to serve, want the truths, and they're ready for them so that he can teach them all that he wants to give them. And it just reminded me of how blown away we are by the goodness of you women and your desire to serve him, and also to do it through us, not us, but through this way, the DTL way, and how you've found your way here and been patient with our growing pains and learning things, and that it hasn't made you lose total faith yet. Great, awesome. You're still, not running from the church, and we haven't damaged anything severely, but the fact that you are using your talents and gifts, that you could use them for anything and anywhere and on with anyone. And the fact that you choose to do this and feel so excited about it and so enlightened and enlivened by it, just like we do. And I can step back and say, as for myself personally, I say that also for Amanda and Lamira, I'm just constantly blown away that we are in the throes of this together, and they still exercise faith and trust and a little bit of pixie dust. And they do the things that need to be done to keep moving forward without complaint, without being like, do you even know what you're doing? They just keep adding and becoming and doing. And I just want you to know, this is signature. You are certain women, and I don't take that for granted. There's no way we could be where we are right now without each of you and the way that you are going about this and the way that you are helping and your openness to what this could become and your role with respect to it. So thank you 1,000 times from my heart. Thank you. It's often I get these waves, and it's in my pajamas or it's early in the morning, so I don't always share it, but I just want you to know I feel it. So the plan for today is we are going to just let you know, a heads up, on the DTLA certification, we're making some final tweaks, and then it's a done deal, and we are super good. And then we'll go through everything next time that we meet next Friday, and we'll just make sure everyone is solid for graduation, so you're all good. But we'll send that to you earlier next week so that you can look through and just make sure you know where you are on that graduation. And again, Diane, if you want to go ahead and walk with everybody, you're welcome to, because you've already passed off so much of that stuff. Even if it's not been official watching the modules, you've already pretty much doing everything. So yeah, you're solid. So that will be that number one thing. The second thing is we want to talk to you about a cool, amazing, life-shifting, help us scale thing that happened this week. And then we want to talk about the question that Diane had about CRM and about the leads, because it's so funny. Lamira and I were we've been addressing this off and on, but we were just talking about what do we want to do with this? How do we want to approach it, and give you some ideas. So we thought what we'd do today, if it's okay, we will do planning part 2, where instead of, we want to do these coaching scenarios and case studies and things like that, but we need people here to actually do them and be participating. And I think, honestly, it's not coincidental, because we really need to get these things nailed and be able to know what we're doing, especially before the June retreat, so that when we're talking to women, we're really clear about what we're doing as far as we know. Does that sound like a plan? Are we all good? You're muted, love.
Would you like me to just continue taking notes on the DTLA notes thing that I started last time? Does that sound okay with everyone?
Like,
okay.
That's
hopefully
amazing.
I don't know if you looked at them, Connie, or probably not, but as long as everyone can understand where it was I'm going with.
Can you reshare them so it goes to the top of my feed? That would be fantastic. And that's just so helpful for me. I'm sorry you have to work with like a 2-year-old. I'm so sorry that administratively and technically, I'm
Can
like,
I come and clean out your email for you, Connie?
thousands. I'm the one that also has
I know.
31,000 photos on my phone. And my kids are like, why do you think your phone's glitching, Mom? Like, come on. I'm like,
Well,
yeah, okay.
I cleared out all of the unread emails in Member Vault, and I didn't realize that cleared it out for everyone. But Lamira's like, so I can see that you cleared all that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just can't have unread. Like that does not work for me. So I have to know exactly where I. So I
And
apologize.
you have to know this was in our conversation this morning, which was great about leads and CRM. So it's all good. I wasn't mad at all. I was just
No,
like, hey,
I just felt bad that I cleared out for everyone. I have to, that I don't know how your brain works without that, Connie. Oh, I couldn't do it.
I just immediately sipped. I'm like, not important, not important, not important. This is essential. I mean, I just literally, that's how I work. So my kids know you're not essential right now. I need to do this with this child and you will be in queue, line 3, right? They know it. So that is a good point. And ladies, I love your proactivity. Make sure that we do protocol. So go to the person who is ultimately over whatever we're doing. So if it's anything to do with retreat, go to Katrina, who's retreat director. If it's anything that's over tier 1 or whatever, right now it's still Lamira, but it's going to be now Diane. But go, if you're not sure, ask one of us 3, hey, who's over this before we do anything? And that's us 3 as well. I have to, before I make any final decisions, I have to go like, oh, wait, who's actually over this now? And that's why we're talking roles and responsibilities. And if we have time today, I'd love to go over some of that, of where you guys want to play, because you get first dibs. We are actually talking about roles and responsibilities next week and finalizing like who we think would be in the best seat on the bus. And so you guys get to say, hey, I think I sit really well on this seat on the bus, these 3 seats on the bus. That would be me. All right, let's start with the big news. Okay, so Jody Brown had talked about in NSA, do you remember Custom Fit, where she talked about Raylene, who I don't know if you were able to see it online or not. Anyway, there's a program that's nationwide, essentially, and it's state-driven, where state funding for business training is available for people who have their own small business or starting small business and want to move that business forward. So any training, they can get reimbursed to a certain percentage. So I finally found the right person that we needed to talk to for Utah County, Wasatch County, and Washington County, I think. I can't remember. But anyway, each of the counties do it slightly differently, but they should have it about the same. So that's good news. But they do have some things that are slightly different. With our county, she was so chill about everything. I thought we're going to have to go through an approval process and blah, blah, blah. The idea was I want them to know who we are, what we do, so that when our women apply for this, they don't have to look at them askew and go, who are these people and is this legit? They will know, oh, they're with DTL. Okay, then we know exactly what they're doing. So kind of creating this high level pipeline that we talk about. So her name is Grace, and I talked with her and she was like, oh yeah, this totally fits. She said, in fact, I'm wondering if you want to send us some information, we can actually advertise for you. And we can let people know what you have so that they can know they can get that kind of training. I said, that would be delightful. So the idea for Custom Fit is they will reimburse up to $5,000 of any training. On the actual training, per training, they can reimburse up to 40%. However, depends on funding that is available. So right now, she said they get renewed funding in July, perfect timing for June, but they get renewed funding in July. But right now, they're only operating at like 25% because the funds are low. But starting in July, then they will have those funds. So in fact, I need to ask her if when they put it through, if they'll do it with June's coffers or if they'll do it with July. And if you have any other questions for me, I'm doing initial kind of recon with her, and we're going back and forth and making sure we have the protocol straight, because Jody Brown said, well, you have to do 3 or 4 weeks before the event. And Grace told me, oh no, after they're done, what the protocol would be is that these women would come to the retreat and they would first apply before they go to the retreat. Then when they go to the retreat, after the retreat is done, all they need to send is a receipt and a picture of attending there, which of course would be our official photo, DTL photo, super easy. We upload it in the WhatsApp, so slick. The receipt, Lamira can give them a requested receipt. So it's just super slick. And they would just send those 2 things with a direct link and send it and upload it. If they have any questions, she's got a personal link that they can directly email her the information if they're not sure how to do it. She said it's super slick, but they can send it in and it's a done deal. Now, here's the cool thing. They can get reimbursed 40% for the retreat. Or Lamira did the math. They could, at the retreat, and this is what we need to decide how we talk about this with them. At the retreat, we can do a presentation, like 5 to 7 minutes on DTLA, DTLC, blah, blah, blah. On the DTLC, if we tell them on Saturday, if you are loving this, if you want to continue, we have a program. And instead of talking to them privately, we would tell everybody right there in that room. And then we would say, we talked with you, several of you about it. Maybe they've already, maybe we do it by 3 o'clock on Saturday. And so they've already been talked to about it and they already know. If that's the case, I'm just wondering if we need, anyway, when we talk to them about it, we just need to know if we want to first tell everybody and tell them ahead of time before they go into interviews, so the interviews are closing those decisions, or if we want to tell everybody and then let them think about it. And we've already given them a heads up, but then we officially tell everybody and let them have a second reminder of, hey, do you want to do this? Meanwhile, the protocol is they could do 40% off the retreat, or at the retreat, they could, since they've already paid for the retreat by then, they have to pay for it first and then they get reimbursed. Since everyone's already paid for it, they could have the option of joining DTLC and their whole DTLC program would be reimbursed 40%. They can get it reimbursed monthly, or they can get reimbursed at one chunk. We have never had, I don't think, anyone pay for it in one fell swoop. Everybody has done it monthly. So I'm thinking we just go for that monthly reimbursement, which brings that down to $600 a month instead of the $1,000. So it's essentially almost half off. Now, if we do that, that means if they get that solidified, say the September retreat participants, that means we jump them in on those early coffers for what's available for the county, so that they're still going to get that monthly reimbursement, and we don't need to worry about it getting to the end of the year and they're not going to have enough. They'll already have to section that out so that they know they don't have it and the women do.
So Connie, can I ask a question? So
yeah.
Every month, will the women have to submit a receipt?
They pay.
And then they get, no.
They will pay every month into DTLC, but if they have a link now that is called continuing education, and all it is 30 seconds. They go on a link, the information is already on there, and they just hit like send, like, here, I'm doing it again, I'm doing it again, I'm doing it again. So I will double check, and I am double checking with her every jot and tittle, because if we tell these women and then it's not exactly like that, like Jody saying, well, you have to do it 3 to 4 weeks ahead. And Grace was like, no, you just need to do it before the event starts. And I was like, are you sure? Right. So I want to double check.
And you said it's up to $5,000?
Yes.
Okay. So then, yeah, it would basically cover 40% for the first year of DTLC. If they didn't reimburse for the retreat as well.
So I think it would be great to let them know they can do that choice. They've already paid for the retreat. That money's already gone. So now if they want to do DTLC, they know that they can get half off and they can actually do that. For those that don't want to continue on with DTLC, then they know they can get reimbursed for the retreat. So my question, minus a registration fee, and that's a good point. I need to ask her about how do we do that?
That's basically for us for that processing fee on the back.
And how much is that?
It's about $350, $360.
Okay, so I'll put down 360 and I'll ask her how we do that. And Amanda and I are going to be working on this. Amanda, I just know it's crazy for you right now, and I don't want you to stress about that. The other question is, how soon and how much do we let women know about this? So it may seem like it's a pretty easy decision, like, wow, let's let everybody know right now. But one of the things that we have loved about this process is that it calls out people who have a certain mindset. It actually brings in people who are like, I'm going to find a way, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to have faith with the Lord, and I'm going to find a way to do this, because we start as we mean to go on. They're going to need to have that mindset as they go through what they're doing. So how do we let them know they can do this And at what timeline do we do this? Do we do it at the welcome retreat Zoom call and let them know this wonderful news? Do we let them know in social media posts? Hey, and you can apply for scholarship funding, or you can apply for specialty funding on this. Is there some way that you feel like we need to go about that? So first of all, I am super excited. Like, I honestly feel this is a huge piece of us being able to scale, because we've thought for a long time it is so much easier for women to do $500 a month than it is for them to do $1,000. And yet the $1,000 keeps that elevated value, and it makes them realize, I've got to have the buy-in here. I've got to make this happen. So they are paying $1,000 a month, but then they're going to get the kickback for the investment and for their efforts. And I think that's a beautiful way for this to happen, because it still keeps value and it still helps us to have the money we need to move this forward, but gives the women a price break, which is exactly, I don't know about you ladies, it's exactly what I've been praying and fasting for. How can we do this where it takes the burden off the women, but doesn't negate the way that what we need in order to move this forward? So I'm like super, super happy. I think it's per year. That's a good question. I think it's per year.
So, okay. So I think what you're asking, Connie, I hear two different things. So I hear you saying, do we put this out on social media when women are signing up for the retreat, right? That's the first one. And then the second one was, okay, once they're signed up for the retreat, I think you're asking, are we going to tell them about, they can either get like this group that we have now that didn't know about it before. So just so you know, you can apply for this funding, or you can save it and use this opportunity to join the Disciple Thought Leader Circle. It was interesting, and Tanya probably told you guys this. I didn't, because I didn't go to her retreat. She said, I already knew I wanted to be part of the circle, of the Disciple Thought Leader Circle. I just went to the retreat, and but I already knew that was where I wanted to be. So some women are going to know that and say, oh, well, I'd rather do that. Other women are going to say, well, I don't know what it is or how much it costs or anything like that. I
love that you've delineated. I actually love this idea of telling the discovery call, because I'll tell you what I've noticed. When I started this 2 years ago, Michelle Villalobos was like, you don't tell them about this until they get to the retreat. You don't say anything, and you just let them know that's the only option until you get there. But guess what I found? I have found in the discovery calls, these women are so ready to move forward. Just in one the other day, the one that's doing the payments until she gets there, she's like, what's the training after this? Already asked me about it. I said, well, we have this, this, and this, and this, and it's a higher cost, but blah, blah, blah. She's like, well, I'm assuming it's a higher cost, but I already know I want to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm finding this with the women that they already, and I'm already telling them a dangling carrot about the DTLC. So the thing I want to avoid in the discovery call is it's a half an hour. I don't want them overwhelmed, and I don't want them jumping the gun. I want them to focus on first steps first, right? So what would be, I agree, I think a discovery call would be a great way to do it. What's a good way to let them know about this?
So here's my thought is, we really focus on qualifying them to come, and that's number one. And then when somebody comes back and says, okay, what's the cost? What's this? It's like when I want to do a certification, well, what's your payment plan? Like, because by then I'm ready to go, but I need to know how I can invest. And then we say, okay, we have a great resource for you. But then the onus is on them to do that. And we don't put it on us. And we just say, here's something that we want to share with you. Because if that doesn't work out for them and something changes with custom fit, that's not on us, because we've qualified them. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it's fine. But I would say, we don't put the emphasis on that. We are just super excited because we have that offered to them. And then if even they come and they sign up and say, hey, now I want to share this with you, because we don't want to hold back for sure, but really focus on that qualifying. So if they're not sure, then you say, hey, we've got this. Would that make it, if time, money, energy were not an issue? And then you see where they're at. Does that make sense? So that's kind of
totally
what we do. And I don't think that answers.
I love that idea of make sure we're still going back to what we know, which is qualifying them first. And then I think if we have a little script that we just do that's very short about custom fit. And I love the point that you bring up, Lamira, which we don't know if custom fit changes. So I don't want to put all our eggs in this custom fit basket. This is a possible resource, but we do know they need to sign up before the retreat. So we want to tell them as soon as they've signed up for the retreat or in the discovery call, if you want to have this reimbursement, you can get up to 40%, because what if they say, oh, our coffers are low, we only have 30 or 25. We don't want to be on the block for that, right? The chopping block. So I like saying up to 40%, depends on what availability they have. You would sign up, we'll give you a link, and maybe when they sign up for the retreat, then we give them that link that they can sign up for it and get their ducks in a row right away. Then we could talk about it in the welcome call and say, make sure everybody, we'll put the link in the thing again, make sure you sign up for that so you can get reimbursement. You can also apply this reimbursement if you choose to the DTLC that we've talked to you about, but we'll talk more about that at the retreat. You don't even need to decide right now. You don't need to even decide until we get to the end of the retreat. So don't even stress it. What if we did something like that so that they're not worried about it?
Yeah,
Right.
I think leaving that open, I think is a good
also-
option.
I
Yeah,
do
go ahead.
think by telling them that, I know if it were me, I would be like, well, I want to do the leadership circle, but I used all of my, like, I used a big chunk of that 40% on the retreat, but I needed it more for the circle. Does that make sense? So kind of going,
So that would be a good question. I think that I would want to follow back up with Grace on is, okay, let's say that I come to the retreat and I apply thinking that I'm going to spend this, I'm going to use this for the retreat, but then I get to the retreat and I decide I want to save it. Can I do that? Can I just not submit everything to you? And then can I do another, like, right? And see if you can do it that way.
Well,
I
why
agree.
couldn't they do both?
Because they won't get as much. So if they get reimbursed for the retreat, it will take them through 6 months of the DTLC. So they can totally do both. It's just that it would pay for 40% of the entire DTLC. And that's an option we can give them at the retreat. You can do retreat, you can do partial DTLC, you can do full DTLC, no retreat. Those are the 3 options that they can do. But they get up to this amount. And if we know that Grace is pretty much pre-approving this training that they know, then we know that we can tell them that. The other thing is I need to make sure that I had heard from Jody that they need to have a small business license. So that's something we need to double check and make sure, because Grace didn't mention that at all. But I know that some different counties do it a little bit differently. So I don't know.
and sometimes it's an EIN number that you just have your EIN. So one question on that too is, sorry, there you go. One, what is the return? Like, what's the wait time in getting the reimbursement for them?
That's a great question. She said it was like it's almost immediate. Like it's quick
They've got
turnaround.
it
When we were
set up.
talking, she was like, and they'll get it right away, which it sounds to me now, I need to qualify what right away is for government, because right away for government is maybe different for us, right? So I'll find out.
So one thing that, and maybe this is just me as we're listening, I thought if I were listening to this, I might be really confused. And so I'm wondering if, I mean, it's not confusing, it's super simple, but at the same time going, again, that we put the onus on them. We just say, here's a great resource we want to send you to, and it can cover some costs. And you look into it instead of us feeling like we have to give them all the information. Does that make sense?
I totally hear that. And here's one thought on that. There are so many people I've talked to that want to do NSA, and the process to apply is so confusing. Do I do professional? Do I do this? Do this? I'm talking with them about this now, because it's so, even renewal, it's so confusing. And people just go, if they can't figure it out in 3 minutes, they're like, it's fine. I got other things I need to do and I'll come back to it. And they don't. So my thought on this is I would like to do a little short 5 to 7 minute presentation on DTLA, DTLC. Maybe we split them out and split them up, whatever. But I would love to give them a presentation that's just slides. It's so visual. They see the little person walking and it's a box, and they say, this is the first thing. This is the second thing. Here's the 3 options. If you're wanting to do this, do this. If you want to do this, do this. Give them a handout so that they can take that and they can sit down and do it. Now, I would love to have them actually do it right there. Do you know how high that conversion rate would be if we had them actually had time to do it right there? We would walk them through it. Now, if there are women who are like, I don't want to do the DTLC, totally fine. But who there is not going to want a reimbursement for the retreat? Like, that's insane. That's like walking away from money. No one's going to want to do that. So if we take like a total of 15 minutes, we teach them in just a few minutes of what this is, the options, and then we take them through the links. Hey, for those who want to do a reimbursement of the retreat, here you go. For those who want to do a full DTLC, here you go. If you want to do partial, here you go. And we can even have coaches who are like, anybody need help? Anyone need help with getting on the link or whatever and doing the information? We can make this so easy for them.
Okay, so then this brings up, do we bring up the DTLC and what is included and what the cost is before we do the coaching? And I can see it, one of the benefits for that would be that it is, then they can ask us questions, additional questions about it, in our coaching sessions, and we're not, our one-on-one, because those are already kind of a rush thing, right? And so maybe we bring this up as part of it and we say, okay, so some of you may be wondering what the Disciple Thought Leader Circle is. And it's like we do a big general program. If you would like more information about it, please ask us in your one-on-one sessions. And that way it kind of eliminates both, but also gives them the information of what is this going to cost? Like, what is the investment for this? Yeah.
I love that. In fact, as you're saying that, I'm like, this would help me. It's not sustainable. It's not scalable. I mean, take it with a grain of salt. But I know that we literally, like I said, I literally have had to close people on a DTLC in 3 to 6 minutes. Like, that's not a good way to do it. Now, being said, we know that we've really been planting the seeds for all of that right beforehand. So it's not like that. But I know I'm saying a massive prayer. It's stressful. It's been so stressful because I'm trying to help solve their problem with the one question they have, and then not be salesy, but be able to tell them quickly about the DTLC. This is a huge decision. And I'm making them essentially make that decision so fast. And so many of them are like, I need to think about this or whatever. You're exactly right. If we were able to give them a little presentation, either Friday before lunch or Friday right after lunch before the showcase, I don't know, whatever would work best, or even right before dinner, but they're so fried after the showcase. I don't think that's a good time. So I would say before or after lunch. But if we can do a little presentation there and say that very thing, and then just throw in, we also have special funding that can help with partial costs of that. Just that we've talked about, if we've mentioned before in the discovery call, remember we have partial funding that we can apply to that DTLC, and we can talk to you about that. If we do that, then it makes sense that we would need to talk about the financial things and answer those questions early. Because even if they have questions in that interview, it's going to go long and everyone's going to have the same questions. How is it this? What amount is it refunded? Blah, blah, blah. So I almost think we need to do a full presentation of, like introductory presentation, 5 to 7 minutes. And then Saturday, we're like, if you're interested, we're going to take you through the process. And then we're in the interviews, they have more questions. We can say, don't worry about it. We're going to help you Saturday actually walk through it.
So here's my thought is I feel like maybe you drip it out like you do, make it naturally, a natural drippage. That sounds weird, but that,
like if you have a cold and your nose is dripping, is
right?
that natural drippage, Lamira?
Yeah. No, but that, so that, in the beginning, when you do the pre-frame, right, you're introducing, here's this group of women. And then Friday, you might have the DTLC testimonial a little bit longer, but where, if we have the highlight reel or something, and then Saturday, that's typically what, right, you're 2/3 of the way through. On Saturday, you do your call to action, but they've been able to ask about what the circle is. They've heard it. So it's not the first time they've heard it in a call, but then Saturday before lunch, you have an actual, which makes sense because it's our marketing day. So we're marketing our circle and we talk about this option, but we also have those retreat follow-up call schedules set up those first few days after the retreat, that next week, where they can answer those questions. And when they're in a coaching session, they say, do you have, and you make that, what questions you have about the circle, is this something you're considering? And they schedule that retreat follow-up call with you right then and there to call Monday. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the way it's kind of that.
I like that
up. Even if they don't sign up for the circle, you're kind of getting a rate and review, even though we want them to do the post survey. Diane could call.
You're getting the connection.
What did you like? What did you want to see improved?
Right.
What you have, does that make sense? We kind of shift that.
Yeah. And I can see your cute detailed mind just going into all the protocols.
Well, I'm just trying to see how to make it easier so it's not like a boom, we're going to hit them on
and then quick
with this.
Make a decision. I love what you said. And that is just that's the way that the Lord does it. That's the way sales and marketing do it, is this drip, right? These touches, you give them these touches so that it opens a file drawer and then helps them to, and I think the good Lord has been so helpful with us, like new converts where he just gives you a pass. He just, in 3 to 6 minutes, he helps make magic happen because he knows you're just not adept at all. But I love this idea. One thing I do think we may need to look at doing differently is when we do the initial presentation, and I think that needs to come on Friday before we start the interviews. If we did that I think Thursday, I love that idea of when I do the pre-frame and doing a video of what is DTL, instead of me just talking about, we can do that little introductory DTL and the retreats and what we do. And then in that, we can talk about what is DTLA. If you choose, you can be a DTLA ambassador and do these things that these women are doing. And we can tell you more about that, right? So giving them that little intro cool thing on Thursday, full on. And then Friday, we give them that 5 to 7 minutes of, if you want to continue on with this, here's this cool thing that we have that will help you. What is the DTLC and how can you make that happen in your life? 5 to 7 minutes, super fast, down and dirty. And Saturday is that if you want to get the reimbursement of the retreat, we're going to walk you through it. If you want to apply this to DTLC, we're going to walk you through that and take the 15 minutes to be able to walk them through it. How does that sit?
So I think we need to bring the pricing up before Saturday. I think if we, before we start doing the one-on-one coaching calls.
That would be in the Friday. Absolutely.
So that would be in the Friday. No. I think we just, or Friday Saturday, at least Saturday.
Yeah, Friday is what is the DTLC and how does this work and what do you get, and handing them the outcome sheet and everything. Like, I just think that presentation, the info thing needs to happen. I agree, before the interview, but I think that takes so much pressure off of us in the interview. And if they have questions, I love that idea from Lamira saying, if they've got some quick questions, being able to say, great. And then if they got more questions, say, you know what, if they're not, if they're unsure, whatever, say, guess what? The QR code right there for the follow-up call on that outcome sheet saying you can schedule right now. What's a good time for you? And committing them right then. Sign up for this call right now. And guess what? Think about it over the weekend, and then you can ask questions and you can talk to them about it. No stress, no stress.
Yeah, and I just think being open. So being open with the cost. I know at my retreat, and I know that things have shifted and changed quite a bit since a year ago, but that the anxiety of not knowing what it was, how big it was, how much it cost. Like, I sat and thought about that for a long time. And then I think I met with you like on Friday night. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta make this decision. And felt like so much pressure. And I didn't know, I didn't have enough time to talk through it with anybody. I didn't know who else I could talk to. And so I just think for someone like me, giving them, I need time to like process it and think about, okay, what would that look like? How am I going to put Amanda's abundance in, like, what is this? Give me time to think, okay, and if I want to do this and they're going to walk me through this tomorrow, give me an idea of what this is. Absolutely. And then let me think about how this, and then we're going to, like, it's not the whole retreat. We're just talking a bit. No,
just that. And I agree. We open that file drawer. I mean, do you just look back on these early retreats, Lamira, and go, how did anyone join? Like, honestly,
I was thinking about some of our OGs, like even yesterday when I got up, I was in the shower, I was thinking about a couple of women, and I thought, these women were a gift. They were a gift. And they're like, a couple of them stuck with us the whole time. And they're just amazing. So here's a thought. You're going to die. I have this in the chat. It's like, okay, give myself some more work, but we just need a DTLC landing page that's hidden that we only show there so that we could give it there. They pull it up, and then it has like, I'm like, okay, like the funnel, whole idea, like story branded page, but it's not for everybody. It's just for the retreat.
I love it.
There it is. We've got the testimonials. And it's got the frequently asked questions. So we can do the presentation, but throughout the weekend, they can be pulling it up.
And they can look at it, they can send it to their spouse, they can show that it's legit. Genius. That is your operations mind, Lamira. I love it. COO right there. That's exactly it. That's exactly what we need. No more of this. This is me, author Neanderthal. Gotta have a paper, right? And luckily we even had a paper, because before that was just verbal. I'm total verbal. Anyway, love this. This is so good. Ladies, I know this is for a reason that we've had this ability to do this, because this is going to shift our June retreat, and it's time. This is what's going to help us set these things to be able to start this scaling thing in earnest, right? We're getting roles and responsibilities now, but these systems, these things in place are going to make this so much easier. And I have no doubt that this is going to impact the number of women, that conversion rate of them coming into the DTLC. And again, I know you know this, but I want to remind everyone, this is not about closing X amount of the room. This is about the reason why we do these retreats is because we know they work. And DTLC, we know it works. So we want to help people make that transition and be able to say, I know I can do this, and get them in there and get them doing what God wants them to do without them being all worried about all these details. Exactly. So I love, love, love this. Any last thoughts on this? And then I'm going to go to CRM.
Yeah, I
Go
am
ahead.
wondering if the person that needs to talk about this is not you, because I'm wondering if it needs to be somebody else who talks about it, who is the person that comes in and says, I want to tell you about what the Disciple Thought Leader Circle is and how we do this. And not because we don't love your voice and, you know, hearing it. And that's, you know, you're not the celebrity of the retreat.
Offended. No, but they haven't heard from me like 6,000 minutes already.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that maybe having somebody else come in and say and do it as the, you know,
Totally.
as
no,
I mean,
and
I
that
don't know.
no, they do that.
Right?
They do that in sales and marketing as well. I mean, these are true principles, guys. It's the approach, right? The approach is different. And hopefully, I think either one of you would be fantastic. I think me doing the soft, touchy-feely part on Thursday of how this started, the women that come in, I love talking about that and about who these women are, and that these women are those women, that they have the capacity to do it because that's why they're here. Then Friday is more the nuts and bolts of how this happens. And then Saturday, we could even have someone else take them through the how to and process of it. So I don't know, Amanda, Diane.
So what if Amanda, what if you took them through the nuts and bolts, because that's what you're doing, right?
Well, and
Yeah, what were you going to say? Yeah.
Tell us your thought.
Yeah. So my thought is, I think it would be amazing as I'm opening them up to abundance to say, I want you to notice all of the little gifts that he is going to give you to open up your path, right? Like that's going to open it up. And then when we mention custom fit, it's going to be that, oh my gosh, that is the way he's opening the path. So it's automatically going to open that mindset to what is God putting in my path.
Love it.
So what if I do, like, this is the I don't know, I don't even know what day it is now, the Friday presentation of it, and talk about it. Amanda's already talked about the open a bunch, so I can refer to Amanda, what she talked about the night before. And then the next, and that way, like, I'm another point. So now we got 3 of us all, unless Lamira, you want to do it. I love doing the sales part. So I love that part.
Thought. What about Friday? If Thursday, I'm doing the opening of it, and then Amanda is the second witness in abundance. Friday is Diane on the nuts and bolts, and Saturday is Lamira on systems on how you do it. This is how you do it. I'm going to take you through the landing page and let's do this together. Lamira, how do you feel about that?
Is this like walking them through like custom fit or signing up for DTLC?
It's walking them through the custom fit, getting reimbursed for the retreat, or applying it to the DTLC. And ideally, I don't know if you can do it in time for the June retreat, but ideally you would have them go to that landing page. The links would be there. They could click on the link and you're going to take them through that.
Yeah.
First, you can do that by Monday. What are you talking about? Lamira's like,
I'm sitting here like, okay, what's getting moved to a different burner to get this done?
But you know what? If we don't have the landing page by June, don't stress it. You can still we can put the links up on, we can just do a slideshow, little presentation.
Oh, yeah, no, I just need to know like exactly what I'm doing so I can make sure I'm competent in walking them through it.
That's no worries. She sent me an email. I'm going to forward it to you ladies. She sent me all the links that we need. There's just 3 of them, and it's depending on what they want to do. And we can go through that in core council, so I'm not stressed about it. But I like this idea of staying with our brand or our alignment. So DTL, like how-tos and the nuts and bolts and things like that. These ladies are going to come into tier 1. Diane needs to be someone that's going to tell them this is this, that is that. Lamira, you're the one that's helping with systems and over those. So being able to tell them systems, this is what we're doing and this is how it's going to benefit you, and adding that purposefulness to it, not just this is this, that is that. The excitement of Can you
Do that? Just kidding.
that
This
the
is this,
Lord,
that is that. There
Yeah.
you go, Lamira.
that the Lord is showing? I would love for you to add in how this has been a gift dropped in our lap that has been after prayers and fasting of how we can help these women be able to do this and do it in a way that's not going to be a burden.
Because how many women have, so even at the April retreat, I think how many would have jumped on it,
on it.
or even the last 2 years, but not that we're going back, but I don't want to say that.
I
but
am.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have, one of my questions for Grace was, because they haven't signed up for the DTLC. So they can't get reimbursed for the retreat because they didn't sign up for it, but they haven't signed up for the training of DTLC. We could go back. I'm checking with her. We can go back to these other women who have wanted to do this that haven't, and we can offer the DTLC and say, you can sign up for this training and get this reimbursement. That is something that DTLAs could actually go through a CRM list and go back through and see if they can find the people. And maybe what we can do is give a bonus. If people sign up for the DTLC, then we can have some kind of a bonus on that. But I absolutely think we should go back, because now this is a cool thing that people can do that have wanted to do it.
Mhm.
I have a question. What about women that are currently in the DTLC right now? Could they, I know they can't go back. I know they can't go back, but like they haven't paid for next month. Could they submit and?
You know what?
forward?
I will ask her on that, because I think you have to sign up for the training ahead of time before you start. So then you can start the reimbursement. I'm
Then
pretty sure that's what she said.
I want to look at that, because the time frame that we have for them to sign up for the DTLC versus custom fit, right? Like, because usually we're like, hey, you have to close within 3 days, for our welcome call on Wednesday. Will they have time to do that custom fit training? So that's what, because you said they have to sign up. Oh, you mean sign up for the DTLC?
Yeah,
training?
all they have to do is sign up for it. So all they have to do is, if they sign up and they're going to start on Wednesday, that's what we're doing on that Saturday. That's why I'm saying it. That we don't want them going home and then they're going to talk to their families Sunday. They're exhausted.
Because I don't want to have to walk them through that on, right?
No, Saturday, that's what I'm saying. You would walk them through actually doing what they need to do to sign up for this, and then have them have the receipt, have them download their picture. We send that to the WhatsApp. They save that on their phone. They do it right there.
I just think that's such a good idea. If we can streamline it to be as easy and simple as possible. So first of all, it doesn't take a chunk of already, this precious time that we have. But the second of all, just so they make it as, look, we have all the things right here for you. And this is right here. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think that
And
would be
I will
really
talk
good.
with Grace, because they will need to have signed up for this before attending the retreat. So these women for June, I don't think they can be reimbursed because they've already paid for the retreat and they didn't sign up for custom fit beforehand, but they can sign up for the DTLC, which is even more exciting.
Well, I guess that's what I was saying. They have to sign up for custom fit before they pay for the training. That's
right. So,
and then
from
they get
now
reimbursed after they've paid.
that's right. So from now on, in September, we will tell them about this beforehand, and whether it's at the discovery call or we do it in the, welcome Zoom call. I think discovery call, and then we remind them at the Zoom call to sign up for it. And we could even do a little tutorial Loom or something that we can send them so they can do that and make sure that's all taken care of. And we can even say, do that before you come to the discovery, the Zoom welcome Zoom call, right? We can make sure that that's one of the things that's on the list, Lamira, of things for them to do as pre-retreat work. I think that would be great. And then send them to that eventually landing page. They just have everything right there. It would be so easy. But I agree, it needs to be super streamlined so that when they get there, and I'll check with Grace if they can jump from retreat to DTLC. If not, then it means still to get 6 months reimbursed of DTLC, which would be amazing. So we can tell them in the discovery call, it could be either one. And if they won't let them jump from retreat to DTLC in that weekend, then we can just tell them in the discovery call and give them all the information they need. And we're just gonna have to shift it to the discovery call.
So if they will do 5,000 a year, well, do you worry that, let's say the 6 months that, they have it $600 for 6 months. And then when it goes up to $1,000 where they're not getting reimbursed, does that concern you at all that they would drop off halfway?
Totally. But as long as we are clear with them and that they have just received free money for 6 months that they would have been paying out, then I think as long as we're clear that it would bump up and that they need to know that for 6 months it would be, plan on that 6 months. But remember, ladies, they've already been paying 1,000 every month. They've not been paying 600.
Which I
They've been
think
paying
is the
1,000.
beauty of it. Yeah.
Because
they're
they're
already
in
used
that
to it.
habit already. And then they just have to account for, okay, I'm not getting reimbursed.
If they just take a little chunk of what they get reimbursed for and put it aside, they'll have the money for the 3 months.
And that's a great point. That would pay for the next 6 months if they can just be disciplined and put it away. Okay, any other questions on this? I think it's incredible and I'm so excited. So since we kind of started talking about CRMs and leads, Lamira, did you guys have something that you shared in a meeting that you want to talk about?
Yeah. So Diane, we met this morning because we thought, okay, what Diane beautifully, she brought up, she's like, so I see all these leads for the Find Your Purpose Challenge. And I said, hey, amazing. Connie and I have just been talking about this.
Like, who's contacting these people?
Yes. And Diane said, I'm your girl. And I was like, hey, and I told her how this is just kind of literally, I told her after our conversation on Tuesday, and we've been talking about roles and responsibilities, and me kind of going, okay, this feels right. And this other piece was here going, is that thing? And then Diane going, that's me. I went, just how the Lord opened that door. But we started looking at the CRM and looking at discovery calls and looking at what our funnel is, right? How do we bring in leads? Well, there are several ways we do that. One, we have our quiz. Right now, it's the Life Shift quiz. The other way is we have people joining the Purpose-Filled Women group who give us things. We have the Find Your Purpose Challenge and we discovery calls, right? Those are some main
speaker challenge.
No, that one's coming. But
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that one is becoming evergreen here soon. We'll have that. And the LSQ will change to the DTL quiz. So we talked about that and how we can do it. And Diana and I looked at a couple ways to make this a little bit better. And I love how my brain started going, oh, well, if I can do this with a cutie, I can do it with this, right?
Let me help you with that, Amanda, just a second.
So, but anyway, we decided.
Sorry, you guys missed that. Amanda meant to write Life Shift quiz, but she missed the F on shift.
Oh,
So
Can we please keep this G-rated?
it's okay. This is G-rated. For those of you who are not seeing this in person,
and it didn't. I think it just went to you because I'm like, I am not seeing it in the chat.
That's okay. That's okay. We got it. We got it. I've made this G-rated again. We're good. Okay.
That's why I
Okay,
was
sorry.
telling Diane, we're just calling it the LSQ quiz because it's just getting
LSQ, because apparently there's a lot of room for okay. All right.
Anyway,
Go
so
ahead.
what we decided is that on that sheet where we have the discovery call, right? We're going to change that to our warm leads sheet, because an active campaign, this is just back-end system. When somebody comes in through the Purpose Challenge, we can have it populate that sheet that it says, hey, they've signed up through active campaign. Now, the biggest question we have, and also Purpose-Filled Women, that one will have to populate individually, right? If somebody comes in, but we added a question, we changed a question on the Find Your Purpose Challenge, and we did it in the Purpose-Filled Women group at the beginning that says, would you like a purpose coach to contact you about your next steps? If so, put your phone number. So
I literally just wrote down, we need to include phone number, make sure.
and we're trying to figure out, make sure we get that in all the right places. It's in other places, but to text them. Now, the big question we have is, who wants to do leads and how do we make sure we get them to those? And on that sheet, it would be fine because it would say who the DTLA contact is. And once they do a discovery call, hopefully they're doing it with the person who originally contacted them, right? And we can see that. But I want to make sure that as these leads come in, that those who want them, it's just like, and I don't know if that's based on what they have available, but I don't know what you want to do with that.
So that begs the question for me is, do we want, first of all, on that CRM, do we want an at a glance CRM? And then once someone's made that contact, it goes into a more in-depth CRM so that we can pull up and see they've contacted them 5 times. This is the conversation they had, and this is what went down. How do we go about that? And 2, when they come in, I think it would be great if we have these roles and responsibilities, and that goes back to the specialty coaching. We can see from those women, is there a column we can put in that can say their specialties? So say they want to be a speaker, or they want to be a writer, or they want to be a whatever, or they don't know. It would be great if we know, oh, if there's a speaker, then so-and-so's piped up for that one. And, or if they have problems with mom and, or they're starting their own small business, maybe Katrina wants to do that. Or, and Raylene, if you're listening, I would love to know everybody. I've talked about this. I would love for you to send an email that says, here's my top 3 zones of genius. This is where I want to play. This is what I want to specialty coach in. And this is where I would love to play. This is where this is my sweet spot. So like for Katrina, it's mom and balance. It's social media marketing, right? Even though all of us can talk about speaking, all of us could talk about a variety of things in here and mindset and whatever. Would love to know those specialty things so that when those discovery calls come in or those leads come in, I want to avoid overlapping. I want to avoid, oh, well, I know this person, or well, I think I'm probably better suited for this thing. I think first and foremost, if the person knows the person, that trumps everything.
For sure,
So
for
if
sure.
you have a first row contact with them, they're yours. And then from there, if you're like, I don't know if I've got the things that I need for them, I'm going to pass them off to someone. But at this point, everyone, we should all be able to do a discovery call, and they should all be able to come to the retreat through our initial connection.
Okay,
So we can get practice.
Some businesses have what they call an appointment center, and the appointment center is the one that's in charge of going through and looking at the warm leads and reaching out to them and deciding who is the fit for them and setting the appointments, sending them the right, the right links to the right people, so that somebody who goes in and says, okay, this warm lead came from this place, or their purpose says this, let's see, and let those now. And I was telling Lemire, some DTLAs might feel very uncomfortable with this. Other people are not going to mind doing it. So we don't want to make people feel
totally
right. Like if this is not something they don't want to do, then that's okay. But if you do want to, if this is something that you do want to do and you are interested in reaching out, and you don't mind being the one to instigate conversations and to establish that, then let's just put them out. And like you said, the specialty things, or if they know somebody, then that point person says, I would love to set you up with a conversation with Amanda, who
really focuses on, it sounds like
really
money mindset
on this, or Lemire, or Raylene, or whoever it is, and so that person is the point person for those. So that person would be need to be responsible for watching the leads group to watch. And I was talking with Lemire, I think that if somebody were to join and they said, yes, I would like to be, that's got to be like within 24 hours, 48 hours max. Somebody has got to be on that saying, I see that you did this, how can I help you? And then watching the quiz that comes in from the back end.
Jerusha does that. She'll let you know who has signed up, right?
Yeah. So we need to just know that as soon as it comes in, so that we can make that contact if they're willing to reach out before they get, before they're like, oh, maybe not, or they didn't respond right away or something like that. But I think even going back through the answers that you have on Member Vault and looking through the people who have not been contacted and say, I just was looking through and I noticed that your purpose statement is right aligned with what we are looking for to have people come to our retreats. Is that something you've ever considered? Would you be interested in learning more about that? Even I wouldn't even mind going back through and looking at all of the leads that come up from the back end of Member Vault. We have
hundreds. I started doing that 6-7 months ago when we were going to start looking for people for the January retreat. And then the January retreat filled up so much that I sent out maybe 20 emails to people, didn't get anything back. I think maybe I got one back. And that's where we were saying we need the phone number, because people don't often see emails. They need the phone number. So I love that you've changed that. Diane, if you're willing to spearhead that and work with Jerusha on doing a more functional, effective system, because she sends that every Friday, which at least we've done something to capture, but to capture it as soon as we get it, like you said, within 24 to 48 hours, that's huge, so that they know that we're excited and paying attention. And then I think we could also go back and do an email with a subject line that says, hey, would you like to get with a purpose coach and take your next steps or whatever? We have a free purpose coach.
Right. That's part of it. You text them, you email them. Which way are they? Most people are going to respond to text better than email, but it doesn't hurt to have the email. And then Lemire mentioned, Lamira, you mentioned to have that form come up where you can put the phone number in it, that's like a premium cost. I don't know what that
I'm
cost is,
looking,
but
well, some of them, it depends. So like if they are coming through the website,
mhm.
right? Then if it goes into active campaign, if they're already in there and they have their phone number in there, it's in there. Does that make sense? So we have a lot of phone numbers, but there's some we don't have. The big thing is, and Diane and I may want to work first and then train Jerusha on how to send the information, because Diane and I can work on the system part.
Love.
And then have Jerusha know what her assistant part is each week.
And what her protocol is. I love that. If you two are good with that, that is another answer to prayer. I know we've known for a year and a half, more than that we've needed to do something with them and we just have not had bandwidth or knowing how to go about it. So this is perfect, Diane. Thank you so much. If you're willing to do this, would you mind, or I don't know what your time availability is. Are you okay to spearhead this for now with Lamira and then pull us in for pieces as you need help with that, so it doesn't weigh on your shoulders? But if you could be the masthead of this, I am the CRM, CEO, chief, number one, big kahuna, like whatever. You are the one that
Do I get to name myself?
Yes, you get to choose the title. I'm boss on this. If you could do that, and then we'll know that this is getting moved on, start with the most recent, and then we can go back, right? But if we could do that, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Is there a record of so if I were to go back through that member vault and all of those names, can I assume that most Jerusha will know?
Jerusha sent me an email last fall, I think it was, when I asked for the same thing. And she sent me a whole list of all the names.
The biggest question I have, Connie, is if you have record of when you've contacted people. I think that's what the gap is.
I can send
you record when they did that.
It's been so long. I'll tell you the honest truth. It's been so long. I wouldn't worry about it. I had one response. So I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah.
I can send you the ones, but it was like, I literally went down and I started picking out people that I knew and things like that, maybe sort of knew. So I wouldn't worry about it. Just start clean slate, because it's been long enough. If it's not been the last 90 days, don't stress it.
And we have a bunch of PFW leads that this for speaker in a day that the intern started putting in a sheet, and we'll put in there. But Diane, that's something that you and I can talk about, the protocol and like what we need to give you access to and start. But I would say start with Member Vault and let's start putting him in that sheet, because from now on, it will proliferate for the new people coming into the Find Your Purpose course, and it will just add a line in there at the bottom. So we'll start at the top. Does that make sense?
Yes. Start with the most recent.
Even if they start that's the first part that Lamira put in of their purpose-filled quiz, because people needs a little bit of guidance to figure out what their purpose was, because we even had someone at the retreat that's coming that was like, I don't know what this is. And so Katrina and I have coached her through that. So I think if we start at the top, would you like a purpose coach to help you with this?
Finish the course.
That's perfect.
Before they finish it, and then I think we made it so that I get an email as soon as they have filled out that part. I'll get an email so that I can go back in and check and see what it is that they say. So if I'm checking once a day or a couple times a day, then I'm catching those right off, and I'll just draft. I may want to have you guys may want me to use an email that's from Connie Sokol. If not, I can do it from Diane.
No. We would want you to use.
We have a DTLA. We have a DTLA at ConnieSokol.com that we can use, or we can create a Diane and we can decide that.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
really fast, I'm so sorry. I've got to go to the temple with my daughter. I'm so sorry. But here's the thing is also, Diane, as this gets started, know that you don't have to respond to everyone if you don't have that time. You can split this out and divvy it out, just like you said, like a hub, and say, hey, there's one I think you'd be a fit for, whatever, and send it. And Raylene and Katrina, you can let us know if you're interested in doing this, and if so, then how many leads you'd like to follow up on in a given week, so that Diane will have an idea. Same thing with Amanda.
Same thing with Amanda. Yeah, I just need to know what people are willing to do, what they feel comfortable, if they want to do it at all. Yeah, and if not, so then that's okay. We'll do what we can, what our capacity is. So
exactly. Go ahead and text Diane and let her know what your thoughts are on that, or you can text all of us on that thread that we're all on, so that we're all on the same page, because we don't really have any private secrets except for that I hip hop dance in my my bedroom. So
I
yeah.
want to see that. Okay,
That's
awesome.
between, no, you don't. You really don't. You can't.
You don't
unsee.
want to see me do it either. Why do I stop dancing?
Ladies,
No.
I am so grateful. I am loving this. I feel like this is so meant to be, that we are getting so much done in a short period of time because you women are incredible. You're genius and you're spiritually grounded and you're so willing to do his work. I feel excited and scared about where this is going. I can't even tell you. So anyway, I love you all. Let's keep this going and humming and keep making these connections. And then we're going to have this connect all together, and let's do this some more next Friday. Okay. Love you.
Bye, you guys. Love you.